Hey, what's going on? It's Daniel Gillespie with UponArriving.com, and in this video I'm going to break down all of the Chase application rules and show you how you can easily automate your eligibility for all of those rules. But before jumping in, if you're new to this channel, I've been blogging about miles and points for the past 5 years, and on this channel I cover a lot of different topics related to credit card rewards. So if you're into that type of stuff, be sure to subscribe and hit that little bell icon so that you don't miss out on anything. So before jumping in too deep into all of these rules, I want to point out that there is a new app coming out that's going to automate calculations for all credit card rules from major issuers. The new app is called WalletFlo, and it's going to be out in just a couple of weeks. And the way it works is very simple. You simply input all of your credit card details, like your account opening dates, and then you find a card that you're interested in, click on it, and then you'll see a breakdown of all of the different credit card application rules that apply for that card. And right below that, you'll see these little messages that tell you whether or not you're currently compliant with those rules. So for example, if you see all green messages that say, hey, you're compliant, that means you're good to go, and you could go and apply for that card right on the spot. But if you see some messages that appear in red and say non-compliant, then you can check to see what date you actually will be compliant. And if you want to, you can also just go ahead and select to get notified whenever you finally are eligible, whether that's in a couple of weeks, a couple of months, or even a couple of years. So if you don't want to hassle with trying to wrap your head around all of these weird credit card application rules, be sure to check that app out in a couple of weeks. I'll leave a link in the description below so you can find out more details and sign up for updates on the app, but I definitely recommend you to check out that new app. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's now talk about the first Chase rule, which is the current cardholder rule. So what this rule states is that if you are a current cardholder of a card, you will not be able to get approved for that card in the future. So for example, let's say you have the British Airways Visa card and you want to reapply for this card. Well, you're not going to be able to get approved for that card until you cancel your British Airways Visa card. And after you cancel, you'd want to wait probably at least 30 days until you are good to reapply. Now, the tricky part about this rule is that sometimes Chase has what's known as a family rule. So this is the case for the Sapphire cards and for other cards like the Southwest personal cards. And this means that if you have any type of card belonging to that family, you can't get approved for any other cards. So let's say you have the Southwest Premier card. That means that until you cancel that Southwest Premier card, you can't get approved for other Southwest cards like the Southwest Plus. And the same goes for the Sapphire Preferred and Reserve cards. Next are the 24-month and the 48-month rules. And what these state is that you cannot get approved for a Chase card if you've received a bonus in the last 24 or 48 months. So most cards have the 24-month limitation, and that just means that if you've received a bonus for that card dating back 24 months, then you're not going to be eligible for it. Now keep in mind, this is from the date you received the bonus, not the date that you opened up the card. So if you don't know what day you received your bonus, then you can just maybe by default go with a time frame of 115 days from the account opening date, because you should have received your sign-up bonus for most bonuses within that time period. Now, it is worth pointing out that the Sapphire cards have a 48-month time period, and in the future, Chase might expand that 48-month time period to other cards. We'll just have to wait and see. But for now, the Sapphire cards have the 48-month period, and other cards just have the 24-month. So next is the Chase 230 rule. And what this rule states is that you cannot get approved for more than 2 Chase cards in any 30-day rolling period. Now, there have been exceptions to this rule, both good and bad. So I've seen people get approved for 3 cards in 30 days. I've also seen people only get approved for 1 card in 30 days. So what determines whether or not you're limited to 1, 2, or 3 cards? Well, nobody really knows, but it's a good rule of thumb to just at the most attempt 2 cards in a 30-day period. But personally, I would wait 30 days in between each Chase credit card application regardless. And that brings us to the next rule, which is the Chase 130 rule. Now, this is the same as the 230 rule, except it really applies to business cards. So I mentioned before that I would wait 30 days in between Chase credit card applications. And in my opinion, I would do that for both personal and business credit cards, but definitely for business cards. I would never apply for more than 1 Chase business card in a 30-day period. And in fact, I'd probably wait several months, maybe like 3 to 6 months in between Chase business card applications. Chase used to allow you to apply for 2 cards at the same time, and the credit bureaus would actually combine those hard inquiries. But recently, Chase has actually decided to shut down your second application if you apply for 2 cards at the same time. Now, there have been exceptions to this and ways to work around that, but generally I would not try to apply for 2 Chase cards at one time. Again, I would probably wait 30 days in between my apps just to be on the safe side. So the next rule is the Chase 524 rule. This might be the most popular credit card rule out there. I feel like just about everybody knows about it, even if they're just barely into credit card rewards. And what this rule states is that if you've opened up 5 or more accounts over the past 24 months, you will not get approved for pretty much every Chase card, subject to certain exceptions. Now keep in mind, this rule states that if you have opened up 5 or more cards, not more than 5, that's a very big difference that a lot of people get hung up on. Now, something to know about the 524 rule is that there are a lot of exceptions. So I'm going to touch on a handful of those and kind of give you a sense of what to expect with exceptions. So the first has to do with authorized user accounts. So if authorized user accounts puts you over 524, you still might be able to get around the rule, especially if it's only one account. So let's say you have 4 accounts that you are the primary card member on and 1 authorized user account. If you are denied for a Chase card, you could call into reconsideration and just tell the agent, hey, one of these cards is actually an authorized user. You can tell this on my credit report, and they might actually overturn that rejection. Now, if it's only 1 authorized user account putting you over, your odds are much better, but I have seen reports of people having several authorized user accounts and still getting that decision overturned. So this is an area where your mileage may vary. And one thing I do want to add about this authorized user calculation is that WalletFlo will actually calculate your 524 status based on how many authorized user accounts you have. So that's an easy way to kind of get notified if you are eligible for this potential exception. So the next exception has to do with small business credit cards. So there are some popular small business credit cards that actually don't report to your credit report, so these won't count towards your 524 status. And these are business cards from issuers like American Express, Citi, Barclays, US Bank, and Wells Fargo. But on the flip side, if you have a business card like the Spark from Capital One, that account is most likely going to report to your personal credit report and count towards 524. Now, when it comes to Chase business cards like the Inc. Business Preferred, that card actually won't count toward your 524 status, which is why I usually recommend for people to go for that card first, because it's not going to count toward their 524 status. So as long as you're under 524, the Chase Inc. Business Preferred or Inc. Cash, one of those cards, is a great option to go with. The next exception has to do with store cards. So these are cards like the card you can get from stores like the Gap or from Macy's or from different retailers like that. And these generally will not count toward your 524 status if they are only able to be used at the store that they are good for. So for example, if you have a Macy's card and you can only make Macy's purchases on it, that card most likely will not be counting toward your 524 status. But if this is a card that is on, let's say, the Visa or MasterCard network, it actually has the little logo on the card. In that case, that actually will count toward your 524 status. So just make sure that whenever it comes to these retail cards, you know if you're dealing with a store card or an actual credit card. Now, the next exception is what's known as selected for you offers. So these are special offers that appear whenever you sign into your Chase account. You may see a little banner that says selected for you, and you could see a credit card offer there. And if you apply for that card, you might be able to get around 524. Now, in the past, this kind of has gone back and forth. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but it is worth a try if you are over 524 and you see one of those offers. Next are special targeted offers. So people sometimes get targeted offers in the mail, and whenever these come with special codes, that could be a way for you to get around 524. Another method is the business relationship manager method. This is known as the BRM method. So if you have a business with significant revenue, you actually can get a business relationship manager to have a relationship with you, and you might be able to submit a credit card application via fax or just via paper, and that is a way that some people have been able to get around the 524 rule. And so finally, there are in-branch pre-approvals. So you can find a list of some of these cards in the article in the description below. But basically, if you walk into a Chase Bank branch and you tell them you want to find out your pre-approved offers, and they pull up an offer that has a fixed APR interest rate, so instead of a range like 15 to 19% or something like that, maybe it just says like 16.5 or something. In that case, you might be able to apply for that card and 524 will not apply to you. So those are all of the Chase application rules. Again, I would recommend you to just check out WalletFlo so that you can just automate all of these different rules and calculations, and you don't really have to worry about figuring out your eligibility as it changes over time. So that's all for Chase credit card application rules. I hope that you found this video helpful, and if you did, be sure to like and subscribe and check out the new app WalletFlo.